Hi friends. In this video I want to talk about our experience with hotels on our recent road trip. As many of you know, my wife and I returned about a week ago from a 24-day and 3,425 mile plus road trip. And of the 23 nights that we spent on the road, we spent 13 in a hotel. So I'd like to take this video. I have a lot of information to share. I do have notes, so please forgive me for looking down a lot as I look at my notes. But the first thing you want to do is you want to plan in advance. And a general rule of thumb is to take like 1 to 3 months of planning in advance when you're searching for a place, because this avoids a lot of stress. Because the last thing you want to do is be driving all day and then you're tired and decide you want to stop for the night, and then you have to search for a hotel, and you just have to walk in and see if they have anything available. And then the price is the other thing. If you plan in advance, you can get much better prices in advance. Whereas if you just pop in, you might be paying a higher price just because you're tired and you just wanna stay there. You really also want to watch for the peak times. Hotels are obviously more expensive during peak summer times, and not just peak. You want to look for anything touristy. Even in the winter, certain cities are more touristy, and you can expect to pay higher prices. If you can book early, you get a better deal. Especially with the touristy places, you might want to even book further out than 3 months, even as far as 6 months out. The next thing you want to do is decide what kind of place you want to stay at. You have hotels, and then you have the Airbnbs, for example, and I'm going to put up a chart here for you comparing the difference is in staying at a hotel versus the Airbnb. So feel free to pause the video to look at that chart closer if you'd like. For us, the hotels were a better option because we basically just wanted a place to lay our head down and rest and get going in earlier. We weren't traveling on back roads for the experience of the hotels. Like an Airbnb, it's more of an experience. For example, in August of 2024, we spent 2 weeks in Costa Rica, and we did book almost all Airbnbs for our stay. And that was because we stayed more than one night in each one, and it was all about the experience. And booking an Airbnb in Costa Rica I found to be cheaper than booking a hotel, whereas here in the States I found that booking a budget hotel, is cheaper than an Airbnb. As you have Airbnb, you have all kinds of things like their cleaning fees and stuff. Also, hotels you can book easier, quicker, faster than Airbnb. Sometimes you have to wait and message back and forth with the host of any particular place. One last thing too, we chose hotels this time because most hotels are located around like major intersections in cities, whereas Airbnb, you would have to travel maybe, in a back road in this city. And I know that sounds odd since we were on a back roads road trip. It's just that like by 5 o'clock we were tired and we just wanted to stop. So I do most all of my hotel bookings. I use booking.com. That's my favorite. Booking.com has a ton of filters that you can put in when you're searching. You just put in the city, the date or dates that you want to stay there. You can put in the price if you want a pool. You can put in if you're looking for a free included breakfast. You can check their cancellation policy. There's all kinds of things. And one of the things I really love about Booking is they have a loyalty program called Genius, and their Genius loyalty program gives several benefits, most specifically discounts. There's 3 levels: Genius level 1, 2, and 3. I'm in Genius level 3, and it was pretty easy to get that level. And if you go to their website, they have a FAQ page where you can read, the more specifics. But there were many hotels on our stay where I got 10 to 20% off. And there's some other perks too, like rental car discounts and things like that. Hotel prices vary tremendously, as you can imagine. You can find them anywhere from $50 a night to over $300 a night. My goal on this road trip was to spend an average of $100 a night for each of the 13 nights. And now I'm going to look at my notes because I'm going to tell you where we stayed. We spent 5 nights at a Quality Inn, 2 nights at a Days Inn, 1 night each at Sleep Inn, Best Western, Super 8, Eagle's Nest, Chalet Inn, and La Quinta. And with the exception of Chalet Inn, which is located in touristy Gatlinburg, Tennessee, all the rest were budget hotels. I did meet my goal. We spent an average of $97.48 a night for our 13 nights. So it really all depends on what you want and what you're looking for. And I plan on doing a future video soon all about what our 24-day road trip costs, breaking down with the gas, the lodging, food, attractions, the total cost. If you're interested in that, that's going to be a video coming soon. One of the things that we really wanted during this road trip was to book hotels that included a free breakfast, and that was keeping budget in mind to save money. There would be one less meal we had to purchase while on the road with our free breakfast, and then we kept a small cooler with some lighter foods that we would snack on during the day, and then we would just eat one meal out at a restaurant in the evening. But the hotel breakfasts are very, very hit or miss. You just never know. They do categorize them. They have what's called a continental breakfast. And let me look at my notes again. The continental breakfast is a lighter breakfast, and it usually includes pastries, bread, fruit, yogurt, cereal, and the cereal is typically Raisin Bran, Frosted Flakes, Frosted Cheerios, Frosted Fruit Loops. Nothing, I don't like raisins, so I don't eat the Raisin Bran. Being a pre-diabetic, I tend to stay away from the cereals and too many carbs. So the continental breakfasts weren't that great for me because they don't contain protein. So the continental breakfast, and then some of the hotels provide what they call a full or a hot breakfast. And those have all the same type of breakfast foods, but they do contain a protein as well, usually eggs. And let's see what else, sausage or bacon typically with those. The more expensive hotels, you can get better breakfast. They might even have like omelet station, a bigger selection of food, but a lot of those also charge you for breakfast, so you really just have to watch And again, it really just depends on what you want. Some hotels just have what they call a grab and go breakfast, and that's just like fruit and breakfast bars, you know, grab them and go. They all provide free coffee, and honestly, the coffee sucks at these budget hotels. I don't know about the more expensive ones. I do know that the coffee was much better at our stay at the Chalet Inn in Gatlinburg. And you know, maybe that's just because it's more expensive hotel. The most common breakfasts that we had at the hotels we booked were the continental or the hot breakfasts. And let's see, let's look at my notes again. Oh yeah, I just want to share, I took some photos of some of our breakfasts, so I'm gonna play that now for your enjoyment if you want to see what some of those breakfasts look like. And also going to put up a breakfast chart. It's just a pretty vague guideline of what you might expect at some of the different hotels as far as breakfasts go.
We're having eggs, sausages, orange juice.
You're all about the breakfast.
Yes, I'm all about the breakfast. Have you ever heard of Super Donut? This is the original.
Ones in the case.
Yeah, those are the super buns. I wonder if they're any good.
That's not healthy.
No, but it's a good snack.
I'm gonna turn you around, show you our little breakfast room. It's a pretty nice little breakfast room. It's small, small, but it's nice and clean. And I'm gonna show you my plate here. My coffee. We haven't found any good coffee on the road yet.
And look at these nice bananas and apples.
Yeah. Her super donut.
But I'm gonna get an apple too.
Okay. Now I'm going to talk about some of the positives and the negatives that we experienced during our stay. And the positives were that for the most part, all the staff and the people behind the counter when we checked in were really friendly and made us feel welcome, and that our check-ins went super quick and easy. And we really had no problems with that. Also, we never felt unsafe at any of the locations we were at. All these hotels have ice machines, so that was a positive experience. Let me pause this, or just pause for a minute, because there's an airplane. There's a lot of airplanes going over the house right now. Okay, so the ice machines, since we did travel with a small cooler, ice was important to us, so we would get to our room, unload our little cooler into the fridge, and that's another thing. All of our rooms had a fridge, and that was something I looked for when I booked. But we'd empty our little cooler into the fridge, and then in the morning, we could just get free ice from the hotel and restock our cooler and leave. I did request first floor rooms through booking.com when I reserved our rooms, and every hotel was able to accommodate that for us except for one. All the rooms were very clean, and we did not find bugs at any of the hotels. I know a lot of people talk about bed bugs. We did not have any negative experience with that. Samples, all these budget hotels provide free small complimentary samples. There were a couple that in their shower, they have a full-size shampoo and conditioner that they have mounted on the wall that you squeeze, and they have that in lieu of the tiny samples, which is really nice and convenient, although those full-size bottles that are mounted are super hard to squeeze. I mean, it was honestly a pain in the butt to do those. And over our last 2 road trips, because we had taken another road trip in October of 2024, one that was a little bit shorter than this one, but we collect those samples. Not sure quite why, but here's a picture of some of what we've accumulated. We do give to the local homeless here in Sarasota, and we like to give it to the people who are actually on the street as opposed to the center. So like a lot like the little shampoos and conditioners, they can't use those homeless people don't have access, but there are other things that we do get that we're always donating. But as for the rest of the samples, not sure yet what I'm going to do with them, but I'll put them to good use and make sure they'll go somewhere where they're really needed. The beds were all comfortable, and one thing that's kind of funny that I just wanted to throw in here was we found a lot of the hotels we stayed in, the beds were super high up off the floor, which I thought was really strange. I'm 5'10" and had a difficult time getting up onto the bed, and I'm not sure why. If anybody has any kind of clue as to why they make them so high off the floor, maybe it's, the housekeepers, maybe it's so they don't have to bend over so much when they make the beds. That's the only thing I can think. Then for the negatives about these hotels, there wasn't really a whole lot of negative. We found many of the outlets in the room were very loose, and it was hard to keep your things plugged in. Some of them didn't have available outlets like next to your bedstand. The towels are probably one of the suckiest things. All of the towels in every hotel we booked in both this road trip and the last road trip are very small, and they're very rough. And here at home we use the sheet size towels, so we're used to towels that wrap around our entire body, but these, you're lucky if you can get them just to go around your shoulder. And like I said, the coffee sucks. It's very weak. I enjoy mild hot coffee, and even this coffee was too mild for me, and we found ourselves having to stop after we left many times to get a good cup of coffee, which kind of goes against saving money for breakfast, but you have to start your day with a cup of coffee. Some of the refrigerators aren't really cold, not as cold as they should be, and we think that's most likely because they're old and outdated and just not running really well. A lot of the bathrooms, like the tub areas, needed updated, but everything seemed to be really clean. The biggest thing in the bathroom was a lot of the tubs in the showers were very slippery, and unless you had a disability room, no bars to hold on to, and found ourselves having to lay towels down on the floor of the tub or the shower for safety reasons so we wouldn't fall. Looking at my list, the air conditioners are very loud and they didn't always work super well, but that's about it. Noise can be a factor if your hotel is located by a busy road. My wife is staring at me through the door, so that's why I'm waving. But by the road, if your hotel is located, if your room is facing a busy road, you can get some road traffic if you're sensitive to that. Also, if you do have a first floor room, you keep in mind that you might get noisy neighbors up above you, stomping away all hours of the night. I don't know what the heck they do up there, but that's another thing you might want to consider. Reviews are very, very important. I'm a product tester. I do that as my hobby, so I'm doing reviews on products on the daily. I do review all the hotels that we stay at, all the restaurants. I personally find them very helpful when I'm planning a trip or an outing. I found with hotels, the hotel reviews are super hit and miss. You get like equal number of bad reviews and an equal number of good reviews, so it makes it really confusing. I've put together a chart about reviews of things that you should look for when you're looking at reviews, and I'm going to put that up on the screen next. I think that you might find that really helpful. You want to look at things like the date of the review, because obviously if the review is dated a year or more ago, that's not going to be real helpful because things could have changed a lot. You want to look at the reviews on Google. You want to look at the reviews on sites like booking.com and hotels.com. You do not want to look at the reviews on the hotel websites, and that's because they can control the reviews that people see. You want to look for detailed reviews. You want to look for reviews that show photos, and then just make your own judgment. I want to talk about surprises now. There wasn't a lot that surprised me on this trip when it comes to hotels, but one thing did surprise me was how the same hotel varied in quality from city to city. One city with a Quality Inn would be awesome, and another city with a Quality Inn not so awesome. So that surprised me. Also, on this road trip that we just returned from a week ago, I did book one stay at a Holiday Inn, which was the same exact city and the same exact hotel from our first road trip last year, because we had such a great experience and I wanted to go there again, and we happened to be going through that area. And this time around, just 9 months later, the hotel had really gone downhill and we were super disappointed. So we figure it must be due to a change in management. So there's that to consider as all. In my recommendations, over the last 2 road trips, we stayed 25 nights in hotels. And excuse me from looking at my list because I want to make sure I get this right. We stayed in 25 different hotels. And my top 3 recommendations would be: number 1, Sleep Inn. Out of the 25 nights, we spent 4 nights in a Sleep Inn, and just really like that. The ambience, the comfort, the breakfast, all of it. The price, that would be my first choice. My second choice would be Chalet Inn, but now I'm not so sure I would classify Chalet Inn as a budget hotel. It was more expensive. The reason I booked it was because with my Genius Level 3 from the loyalty program on booking.com, I got a really good price. And I don't believe it's a chain hotel either, but we really, really liked that one in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. If you're ever going through that area, I would highly recommend that one. And then my third recommendation would be Quality Inn. Let's see, 7 nights. Over the last 2 road trips, we spent 7 nights in 6 different Quality Inns. Like I said, that we stayed in the same one twice. So overall, the Quality Inns were, out of the budget hotels we stayed in, the Quality Inns would be my third top choice. I would not, my bottom choices would be like a Red Roof Inn and a Sleep Inn. They would not be my choice. So if you're new to my channel, my name is Jana. I'm 67 years old. I'm brand new to this YouTube thing. I'm really awkward filming. I'm learning. Yeah, if you have any suggestions, I'm all ears. And here comes another plane. I do live in Sarasota, Florida, fairly close to the Sarasota airport here, and there have been a lot of planes this morning coming through. So in closing, and I hope this isn't too long, and I hope you got some useful information out of this. In closing, I just like to say we got in and out of our rooms really quick. The first couple of nights were a little awkward, but then after that, it went really quick. We got into kind of a routine. We had 2 carry-on type size suitcases on wheels. We had a large black bag that had things like our power cords and laptop and toiletries. We had that. We had a bag of dry food. We had our small cooler, couple little things, but we got it in and out really quick. We would get into our room quickly. I would quickly unpack and lay out our toiletries in the bathroom while my wife would unpack the cooler and get it in the fridge. And I would plug in our things that need charged, phones and my laptop and my GoPro and things like that. I'd get it plugged in, and we would get all settled in our room, and I swear it took like 30 minutes or less to do that. And then we would usually go out to dinner and come back and shower and fall asleep. And let's see, in the morning went equally as quick. We would get up pretty early. We'd set the alarm for 6. We'd get up, get dressed. My wife would pack up the cooler and her suitcase, and I'd pack up the toiletries and my suitcase, load the car. We would get our free breakfast, and we'd be on the road by about 7:30. So yeah, if you're joining me for my road trip series, I'm in the process of putting up videos for each night of our trip. I've got days 1 through 5 up, and then we did spend 9 days with family in New York, so I have 1 video for that. And I think I just recently posted day 15. And then I have a couple other videos planned, like what it all cost us, and I think there's something else I can't think right on the top of my head. But if you have any question about budget hotels, it really does come down to your budget and what you want and what's important to you for the kind of trip you're making. And I hope you found this useful, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.